the future, the year 2017, the collapse of the world economy has turned America into a police state. Natural resources and common necessities are in short supply, but there's one thing everyone still has: television. With a never-ending stream of convict contestants, the brutal gladiatorial combat of The Running Man has become the most watched show in the world. Don't fight it. No dissent is tolerated. Welcome to Yesterday's Tomorrow Today and the past future world of The Running Man.
Welcome to Yesterday's Tomorrow Today, a show where we talk about movies whose futures have passed. Was that it?
I think so.
Yes! It comes back out.
4 episodes in and we nailed it. I don't know what order these will air in, but just know the 4th time re-recorded.
Just know
Nailed it.
that I don't know what I say as I'm saying it when the show is recording, because we could not come up with it.
No
mic.
idea. Well, this is the problem. We just black out every time that we record.
Autopilot.
No recollection of what happened.
No, please love us. Anyway, welcome to the past future world of The Running Man. On Yesterday's Tomorrow Today, I'm one of your hosts, Joey Reinish.
I'm Kyle McVeigh.
1982/85, The Running Man is a Stephen King joint.
Yes, a thing I always forget about this movie.
It was a book first, 3 years before the movie,
Yeah.
written by Richard Bachman, a.k.a. Stephen King.
Yes.
And
Terrible pseudonym.
It's really bad.
Garbage.
Stephen King is such a cooler name.
Yeah.
Really lucked out.
I guess he was. I don't know what it is. I don't know enough about Stephen King to know what his deal is with his pseudonym, but
I listened to his On Writing book,
yes.
and there's really no reason. I think he was just working another job.
I see.
And like didn't want them to think he was trying to do something else.
I see. I can see that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know much about the book. I kind of want to go back and read it because I didn't know until I was doing extra reading on this movie that the movie adaptation of his book is very not in the same ballpark.
Sure.
Which they turned his book into a video game. It's basically Smash TV, which is awesome.
That's amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
So there's apparently a lot more story once they leave the complex,
Sure.
and everything that is kind of breezed over in the plot of the movie. But before we get into The Running Man's future, let's talk about the plot. It's very simple.
Yeah.
First, you insert a quarter. Then you select Arnold.
Yes. You select Arnold as a character.
So Arnold is a police officer in this sort of surprise, an authoritarian government,
a police state,
if you will. And Arnold refuses to mow down 1,500 innocent civilians in what they call a food riot.
Yes.
So stuff is bleak, and for not following orders, Arnold is arrested. He is blamed for the coming atrocity of mowing down 1,500 innocent civilians.
Yes.
And after he escapes from jail...
The Wilshire Detention Center. Which I assumed was near the tar pits. I don't know.
Really should have been like
I really thought we were going to see the tar pits.
Yeah,
that would have been great.
Escapes from prison and is immediately caught by the producer of the television show The Running Man, America's #1 most watched television show ever, where the convicts are given a chance at a new life if they can make it through the violent gladiator-filled underworld of the show.
My favorite thing is that he lays out what you win. What you specifically win, if you aren't murdered on The Running Man, is you could win a trial by judge, reduced sentence, or a full pardon.
Yeah.
So two of the options are just
Normal.
You still go to jail, maybe. One is you get a fair trial. One is you just go to jail less time.
But you also are probably guaranteed to get the Running Man home game. which I
Oh,
loved.
you'll definitely get it. If they ever made that, that's fucking nuts.
I know. I love that they just kind of, it becomes like a runner joke almost.
Yes.
How they just, every time person wins something, they just kind of shove like, and the Running Man home game. Like, just shove,
It's a good runner.
the box is really cool looking. It has like this retro feature.
I
look
can't
to
believe
it.
someone hasn't done a Kickstarter to make it.
You know, it's possible it did exist.
Yeah.
I don't know how big this movie was or how
at the
good
time.
it did.
I think it was successful.
it was-
I don't know if it was a huge success, but
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously when he was still Richard Bachman and not Stephen King.
this
so
is also the Arnold height of his powers.
it is.
Even with a shitty beard, you're like, Arnold.
I will
crushing
say,
it.
Arnold with a beard didn't do it for me.
Oh, it looked fake to me.
It looked
I know that. I think that's a real beard, but it looks
No.
like a fake beard.
It does not look like a badass beard.
No,
It looks
does-
like my beard.
it doesn't have the thickness
Yeah.
for as thick as that man is. He needs
Yeah.
an equally thick beard.
Yeah.
and it's not there.
No, it's not. So he gets out of jail and gets thrown into the Running Man, and he kicks lots of ass,
Yes,
and then gets out and destroys the Running Man.
yes.
There you go. You got the whole
We did
story
it.
of the Running Man, along with his sidekick woman that he basically kidnaps, and then she kind of
Falls in love with
falls
him.
in
I
love with
guess.
him, obviously, because look at him.
Well, she finds out that he's not the butcher of Bakersfield.
Right.
So she finds out that the Running Man is propaganda, something she
What?
didn't know, even though she works on the show.
She wrote the jingle for the network or something
Yeah.
like that.
Pretty sweet.
Maria Conchita Alonso
Yes.
plays Amber,
Yeah.
who's a babe.
Yeah.
Uh,
She's a babe in this for sure.
Directed by Paul Michael Glazer, who also, I just now found out, directed Kazam.
Fuck. Okay. Banger after banger.
Yeah, and The Cutting Edge, which is a movie I really liked growing up.
I've never seen that movie. What is that
DB
movie?
Sweeney and a lady whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, about a hockey player who gets hurt,
Oh.
and then he loses his vision in one eye,
what?
and then he gets, I wouldn't say tricked, but essentially like a coach.
You could say a lot of things
Well,
after that.
he
He's
basically
tricked
gets
into.
convinced to be a figure skating partner.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, because he knows how
Okay.
to skate, and it doesn't matter that
Wow,
he's.
that does not sound like a Joey movie.
No, it was my
Wow.
mom's movie, but I
Okay.
saw it a lot.
Well, that's like how I love Shania Twain a lot.
Yeah, you know.
I've heard that album
and you feel like a
a
woman.
billion times, and I do.
Ba,
Yeah.
ba, 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 ba. Anyway, so he's done some good stuff. This director is also an actor who's been in several things, but he hasn't directed anything in like 15 years.
yes.
Well,
Well, once you've done The Running Man and Kazam,
back, like
what
almost
else are you
back to
gonna do?
back. What a
wow,
peak.
Completely different movies.
Yeah, and then The Cutting Edge,
completely different.
which
movies.
I've probably
the man
seen,
can't be contained to a genre.
No,
That's for sure.
Which is probably I've probably seen The Cutting Edge as much as you've seen Back to the Future.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah,
God. Wow.
there's a lot you don't know about me.
When did they go back to the past and The Cutting Edge?
Every time there's a flashback to his hockey days, when he's like, "Oh, I wish I could still play
They did
hockey."
go back in time.
Yeah.
That's how exciting.
So anyway, at the end, Arnold gets out after killing all of the stalkers,
Yes.
which are the names of the
gladiators, basically.
He kills the producer / creator / host of the show.
Yeah.
And they leave, and nothing's different. The world is still as it is.
Well, there's kind of a revolution. I don't really understand how the world works in the game because they jettison him into
an
an
underworld.
underworld where
think
I
it's an
think
arena.
that's just where no, but also I think it's just like I think it's partial an arena, and then also it feels like open city blocks.
Yeah.
Because there's like a broadcast station and like a satellite uplink and
I feel like they took a chunk of the old world
yeah.
and sectioned it off and
Yeah.
populated it with
So
their
people don't
crews.
live there, but it is just like old
Yeah,
city
yeah.
blocks.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
because and the like talking about the show The Running Man
Yeah.
is kind of like the bulk of this episode because
Yes.
we don't see a lot of the world outside.
No.
Outside of there's like homelessy encampments of what they call the resistance that
Yeah.
are surveilled, and they give them a nice big TV because why not?
Yeah, they clearly have like government sanctioned slums.
Yes.
And like can't like almost like like fucking after the I can't think of what Depression era camps.
Yeah.
is what I was thinking of.
Sure.
Like that's what it feels like.
And they have a really nice, I will say, they have a really nice matte painting for that. That's a good future skyline that they got in there,
Absolutely.
which they do make good use of by showing you it like 4 or 5 times.
Well, you paid for it.
You pay for it. I mean, show it.
Come
Because,
on.
nothing says future building like archway built into building,
Yeah.
like an inset face
Absolutely.
of a building. But most of this is set. It's the trick they did with Back to the Future as well. It's like you start in the future,
Yeah.
but then the world takes place inside this rundown section of the old world.
Yeah.
So you don't have to really deal with the
Which
future.
is, as we know, a very go-to future
Canon.
dystopia move.
Yeah.
Is to just like find run-down building area where you don't have to have permits, probably,
Yeah.
and you can just set stuff on fire.
Yeah. So outside from being a criminal, and the lack of the justice system really, having oversight into the show,
Yeah.
the only other prereq is a dick hugging jumpsuit. To jump.
By the
down-
way, I love those jumpsuits.
They're really cool.
The Adidas sponsored jumpsuits.
I didn't.
Yeah,
even
they have
notice.
the Adidas logo on the shoulder. So they're Adidas designed death jumpsuits.
Man, they must have been really desperate to get their
His
name out,
jumpsuit's
huh?
very cool. They did a cool thing where like when they send his friends down, they have different colored jumpsuits that are clearly shittier.
Yeah,
And then his is like his and hers are like yellow
yellow
and
blue
like
or
they
something.
have like a quilted pattern to them. They're way cooler.
Yeah,
Like
that's a good Halloween
main
outfit.
character stuff. Oh. Yeah.
and just lounging around outfit,
Oh yeah, the good lounging outfit. That's for sure.
especially since it hugs everything.
Oh, it hugs everything.
So what's cool about? Well, okay, I'm not gonna go into the show yet. Before we
Yeah.
get to the show,
Yes.
future tech spotlight, because in the brief moments we are outside of the Running Man, we
Yeah.
do get a little bit of future, and then some I've sort of co-opted from the
Yeah.
show itself. When they are in prison, they have exploding neck collars.
Yes. When they're
Which-
in the Wilshire detention area.
The Wilshire Detention Center. There's a sonic barrier that triggers their heads to essentially explode if they go past this barrier.
Yeah.
I guess there's like a dog. It's the human evolution of dog technology.
Yeah.
I guess because dogs have those types
Yes.
of things.
It's
but-
it's the evolution of it's the deadly version of Invisible Fence.
Invisible Fence.
Yeah.
which invisible fence isn't a shock, right? That's just you hearing something.
I believe it's like some sort of training where they hear a tone, I think.
and they don't.
Which is also the point of a shock collar, I think. It's
It
like
is.
you give them the tone with the shock. I don't know. Maybe there are shock fence invisible. I don't know how that works.
I think it's the type of sound that dogs like. It hurts them to hear
I've
it.
never owned a dog that wouldn't run right through that. and
Oh,
get
yeah.
hit by a truck.
Same.
Like, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I have not either. I
But-
also have dogs that just don't like outside very much.
Yeah.
So it's.
I will say that easily, and it's not meant to be funny, but the funniest part of this movie is when that guy's head pops.
It's pretty.
It's visceral.
It is very, very intense.
It's
still.
also after the most frustrating part of the whole movie, where that guy keeps typing in the code and the
And it just
computer
doesn't
it just
work.
doesn't work.
for no fucking reason.
At some point, he's like, "I think it's the walls," and it's like the guy was just using it right there
Yeah.
next to you. It's so frustrating to watch. Where he's like, "Bip, bip, bip." I'm like, "Hey, quit hit!" That guy literally dies because he got impatient and hit the enter button too many times, and it was catching up, and so the collar thing kept going, dunk, dunk, flipping on and off. Like that's that guy's fault.
Well, no, that guy also.
He got the spinning wheel and he just hit enter 50 times. And
the guy
thing
also
flips out.
started to run before that was officially down all
But
the
that's
way.
because it was alternating from his 50 keystrokes. It was catching up.
Okay. Yep. It did a very good job of popping his head.
It's great.
I feel like out of all the sort of future penitentiary stuff I've seen in a lot of movies, this one has to exist somewhere in some form.
This
because
one feels
it
like
feels very real.
It feels like it's
At
some
the very
version
least,
of
like
that.
a trigger.
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
will pop your head.
Yeah.
Maybe not with like a sonic barrier as
Yeah.
they suggest, but
Yeah.
It feels very real.
It feels very real.
Especially after seeing that guy's head explode, it felt very real.
What kind of work were they doing there, do you think?
Rocks?
Rocks. It felt like rocks.
They were just doing lots of rock work.
He was carrying around a beam
yeah.
and rocks. Also, that's my favorite way for Arnold to be introduced is carrying big thing.
Carrying
either
like
big log.
metal.
In Commando, he carries big log.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was good.
So they bust out of prison and head to the slums around the city, and then he is unable to be caught by the government, but then the show producer really wants it to happen. So then he somehow lucks into it.
I think he sends out his own people, or like he makes some deal with the attorney general, I think, or something like that. It's something crazy.
But 1, 2, skip a few anyway. We got him.
Anyway, it's an efficient story. By the way, this is written by Stephen E. D'Souza. No, Stephen E. D'Souza.
Oh, yep.
Who wrote Die Hard and Commando and 48 Hours and Judge Dredd and Street Fighter. He's like
Stallone Dredd.
Yes, Stallone Dredd. Good. And yeah, JCVD Street Fighter.
Oof.
D'Souza is like one of my favorite. He's like the guy that you're like, as a writer, that's the career to have, bud.
Well, you got Die Hard on it. You do whatever the fuck.
Once you do Die Hard, once you do Die Hard and Commando,
yeah,
and The Running Man,
that's pretty
good.
Yeah.
It's an efficient movie, I guess, is what we're saying.
It is.
Maybe ruthlessly so.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Because, this movie knows get to the game.
Yeah. Get to the Running Man.
Get to the game.
But before we do, we're in the lady's apartment for a couple seconds, which we get a couple glimpses of future.
Which I think her apartment building, or no, one of the buildings is just that really weird pyramid building that's on Wilshire, where like E! News used to be in G4 and stuff. And like, I think the Family Guy offices are still there, where it's like just a brown pyramid sort of.
Yeah.
Like for some reason.
Well, that looks like the future.
Yeah, it's the future.
I
think it's the network. It's supposed to be the network.
Oh,
building.
okay.
But her it's clearly all shot on Wilshire, which is pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's the Wilshire Detention Center.
It's the Wilshire Detention, but she clearly doesn't live there, but must live nearby because he walked there.
Yeah. So we got the voice-controlled TV coffee. So back to smart home.
A lot of Alexa stuff.
She comes home and she rattles off like, "Dude, turn on the lights, turn on the coffee, turn on the TV."
She puts on her workout nightie.
Yeah. Which is, I forgot to write that down.
My workout lingerie.
I forgot to write that down in the future. Or I'm sorry, in the year 2017.
Yes.
Workout nighties are a thing. Looks great.
I forgot. 2017. What a great, this, God, yeah. So, and she, once again, she has future Bowflex unchanged.
I missed the bow. I just saw the bench, but I know, yeah.
You can see it's got the rods of the Bowflex, and then she's just using the bench to do her nighty crunches. Which is great. I mean, listen, she's keeping it toy. So good for her.
The travel pass, which they don't really go into.
That's what I was trying to figure out. How does that work?
A travel pass is like a domestic passport.
But that's what I was wondering. But also, is it free or did he buy it?
His?
Well, when he uses hers.
Yeah.
But like,
he uses hers and then.
But is there money on the account? Like, did he buy a ticket or was it like you're saying? Like, is it within domestic? Is it? Well, it can't be free travel. They bought
a ticket, and then that was like, show your ID before you get on.
But yeah, it's a domestic passport basically, which feeds into the police state stuff.
Yeah, of knowing where someone is at all times, and Arnold, doesn't have one.
Though his plan is garbage. Because his plan is just to freak a guy out with too much purse stuff.
Yeah, and it works really well.
And it
works. In a police state, the one thing that they are known to be is lax.
Yeah, no, they're like, ugh, get out of here.
Get out of here. I don't want to wait
I'm being bullied by an elderly woman. Get out of here. No, thanks.
So this woman who is now living in what used to be Arnold's brother's
house,
place,
yeah, who's been murdered by the state.
Right.
Casually.
That's the only connection they have.
Yeah.
And she recognizes him as the butcher of Bakersfield.
Yes.
Which it turns out the government, since Arnold's incident, I don't even remember his name. I'm just calling it Arnold.
Yeah, we can just say Arnold.
They've re-edited.
He has like a very much just a guy name.
Yeah, David. Or
It's I'll look it up. It's fine.
They
it doesn't matter.
They re-edited
Just
the
say
beginning
Arnold.
part of the movie
yes.
to make it seem like Arnold killed all these people. Which is
That feels a
Is-
little too real.
is very real.
yeah.
To now, because they'll like fact checking, especially after Trump was president.
Yeah.
Became a huge thing because errors of omission
Yeah.
can completely change
Yeah.
the intent of like a piece of news or
Yeah.
like a speech or all this stuff.
Yeah.
And everything they used was stuff that really happened. They just rearranged it in a way.
Yeah.
And it's a new.
Well, we're also literally living in the era of like deep fake AI.
Yeah.
Like
Which is
that's
coming
only
up.
getting better. And it's like you're just like I feel like everyone's like media literacy has gone down. And it's like we're gonna have to really like
That's gonna have to be like a
we're
high
gonna
school
have
class.
to really it's also I feel like it's gonna be a generational thing where like not even Gen Z but the generation after us will be like, oh, we can spot a fake a mile
probably.
away.
Yeah.
Like
But now we're dealing with all the olds and like
I
kind of
know.
us.
yeah, but
We're
that's
like,
the
I
thing.
can't-
It's like if it works on the people that are currently running the world, it doesn't really matter because
Right.
you're gonna have that 40-year gap there
Before they figure it out.
before they figure it out, or we all die off, and then finally the generations that know
Yeah.
can spot the shit.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, especially with the populace in the Running Man, they only remember the last thing they were showed,
Yeah.
and that thing is correct.
Yes.
So it is a very simplified version of
But also plays to Ben Richards, Arnold's advantage at the
Richards,
end
okay.
in terms of like when the audience kind of starts to go in his favor because they're like, yeah, the last guy we saw murder someone is Ben Richards.
Yeah.
We like that guy.
yeah.
He seems cool.
So in doing so, this is one of my last pieces of future tech,
Yeah.
which were the little files after Maria.
Yeah, like the big SD cards.
They're like compact flash size, but a little
Yeah.
bigger, which are their files.
yeah.
She essentially finds out that the government is not on the up and up. and-
Conveniently labeled.
yeah, conveniently labeled clandestine files, clandestine cases, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
Finds out that they just had it there, it was
Yeah.
unguarded, that they set this guy up.
Yeah.
So she gets dumped in the Running Man with him.
Yeah.
And the best part is to apprehend Arnold after trying to get on the plane to Hawaii or whatever,
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
south. Good
Which,
old
by the way,
fashioned net launcher.
The net launcher.
You can't.
the net launcher.
No matter how far into the future we
Yes.
go, you will not be able to survive a net launch.
I will never not be thrilled by a net launcher. I don't care what kind of future it is. I wrote it down in my notes, but I was like, that thing that they chase him down on is like prime future car because it just looks like a dump truck with more angles and a gun. And they're like, future truck. And I was like, yep, that's it. That's what future trucks look like
Well-
in most like movies that have a future. It's like, yeah, 2017 dump truck.
They
Great.
didn't spend a lot of time on the future stuff because
No.
like we're getting to the Running Man.
Yeah.
And that is the future that we want
That's
to talk
also
about.
not my favorite future vehicle in this movie.
Are you talking about the one to get into Running Man?
No.
The Death Luge?
The Death Luge is amazing, but I wouldn't consider that a vehicle. There's
Yeah.
one I
Oh, yeah,
I
the head
assume
car.
you'll bring it up, but there's one personal conveyance
Yeah.
vehicle
Yeah.
that I think is top notch in this movie.
Yes. Well, there's several actually.
Yeah.
So let's get into the Running Man itself.
Yes.
Because this is where I want to spend most of my time.
The thrill, the show, the spectacle of the Running Man.
The show behind the hit at-home board game version of the Running,
Running
Man.
Man.
I'm gonna be the audio version of bringing up the home game.
I love that.
Their cheerleaders are really fucking awesome. in
It's
this.
it's so like this is like perfect parody, right? That
Yeah.
it's like if you were making this show, like that's like kind of the magic of this entire concept is they get to kind of do a sort of gentle ribbing and parody of kind of I guess reality TV
sports.
at the time and sports
yeah.
and kind of just society in general. But like the fact that out the gate it's like sexy like fly girl
Mhm.
dancers, and when they're marching Arnold out, they'll like have to lay hands on him or do something sexy around him,
Yeah.
and it's so perfect.
And I don't know if it was an intentional choice.
Yeah.
It had to have been.
Yeah.
But like every contestant, if you would call them contestants, like people in the audience on Running Man that come up and talk,
Just the audience, right?
Yeah, the-
Every person they get from the audience.
are olds.
Yes.
And
they're loving it. I thought that too. I was like, that's perfect.
It
because
is.
like it's such a barbaric show that no one should like. But you know who would fucking love it?
About time.
Yes, exactly.
About time they did that to
It's
those.
perfect. Yeah. I was like, they
rapist
deserve to
pedophile.
die, and I hope they burn in hell.
Yeah. They pull out people from the audience to pick their favorite stalker to go after
Yeah.
the people.
Well, and by that, favorite murderer.
Favorite murder.
Favorite murderer.
Favorite person they've seen murder people before.
Favorite murder personality, I guess.
And it's like, which one do you want? Do you want this guy? This guy? Well, I don't know. I got to pick my favorite. Sub-Zero, who is the giant hockey player
Yes.
that is confined to a skating rink.
It's very confusing. His motif is only confusing in that I guess they're playing against stereotype, because if you cast a large Asian gentleman, you're assuming he's murdering through sumo.
Right.
A man shaped like that.
Yeah.
But instead they're like, no, racist. Actually, he's a hockey player
loves
with
hockey.
with the blade rod or a blade stick. I forgot what they play hockey with.
a blade
A blade stick.
a puck shooter.
A puck shooter.
There's I'm gonna run through the list of the stalkers here because there's
Yes.
some really good ones. You got Sub-Zero,
Great.
who shoots exploding hockey pucks.
Him having which I wish we would have seen him with more special. I assume he has many specialty pucks,
Oh yeah, that'd
which
be great.
would have been awesome. But we only get to see the explosive.
Here's the
one.
net hockey puck.
Also, the net trapping that guy is like so fucking stupid. But also, I'm like, that's great.
Oh, the hockey net.
yeah, because he'll be like, I'll come to murder you later.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
last.
We got Buzzsaw,
Great.
which is a chainsaw, a contact, and a mesh T-shirt.
Yeah.
This is his whole vibe.
And he is, I would say,
he's what I would expect.
yes, he's the one that you're like, this is exactly the guy that was going to be.
He's the
in this
one
movie.
that comes with the home game, and you have to buy
Absolutely.
the other.
Yeah, you have to
separately.
buy the bonus. Everyone else is DLC.
Yeah.
He's like your baseline guy.
Yeah, Dynamo, who may be the best one.
Confusing though.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
understand
why.
his whole aesthetic, but he has maybe the best power,
Light
easily
bright.
the best singing voice,
Oh yeah,
and the
absolutely.
best personal conveyance vehicle.
light bright opera singer.
Yeah,
with
his
a,
aesthetic is what's confusing more than anything.
he's a very large man with a beautiful
Huge.
operatic voice.
gorgeous. I looked into him. I believe he's a baritone.
Oh,
He's an
is he
operatic-
actually a singer?
He would act in between getting his like masters of operatic singing.
Wow.
Yes.
That's cool. He has a car that only doesn't fit his head. And is this the personal conveyance you're talking about?
Yes.
I feel like one thing would have made that better.
What?
A bubble.
Yeah. Oh, that was my
Maybe like
immediate-
a head bubble
well,
protector.
yes, because that car go-kart once again, future vehicle, they just took a go-kart and made it bulky
Yeah.
and more angular.
Yes.
Great. But no protection. It doesn't even shoot projectiles. It's just like go-kart.
Yeah, it's go-kart that's top heavy.
Yeah.
And he almost
And it's
gets
ultimately
taken
his
out
demise.
because he just drives up a little hill and it falls over.
I guess they were just like, this guy's not sprinting anywhere, so let's get him a go-kart,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
I guess.
I mean, he doesn't need it. He should just be able to like electric sing at people.
Well, that's all. His thing would be more like, he's your stereotypical a horror movie murderer, right? Like people sprinting away from him, but he's like
Oh,
same walk,
Yes.
and he eventually gets you.
but then
He'll
he
you
gets
eventually.
winded.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now I'm like, tiny go-kart was the only thing you could do to make it work.
Well,
but why didn't they put guns on it?
if you think of the set of Running Man,
Yeah.
as this part of the old city,
Which I believe they say it's like 48 city blocks.
oh wow,
It's massive.
it's huge. Yeah.
yeah.
So they have all of this real estate. For one, Sub-Zero can only play here.
So he only has one area. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. And they definitely have at the beginning motorcycle leather daddies that corral you.
Yeah, into
so
the
they
right
pick a
place.
stalker and then they'll corral you into the right place, right?
Right.
So there
it's
must be multiple rinks. Because what if someone picks him third?
later.
Yeah.
They have to get him all the way back to the beginning.
He must have like 4 different rinks.
Yeah, well, and here's the other thing though, is that no one had ever defeated a stalker.
Any of them.
Any.
Well, but some guys had won the game. But I
That's
guess
true.
that just means they never really lay that out. I
Yeah.
guess you just survive or make it to a certain area.
You have to
I don't really
survive X
remember.
amount of hours or get to like an ending.
Yeah, maybe it was like 3 hours or something. They say the show was like
They-
3 hours
yeah.
or something like that.
But to me, that feels like when you're doing a live show like that,
Yeah.
if the show goes as designed,
Yeah.
it feels very short. It's like going to be a 15-minute show.
It should have been an 8-hour show.
But-
or I guess you're right. It's like if you're saying if it goes well and he's killed within the first 30 minutes,
Yeah.
what's the rest of the show?
They just have like a
Just
stock.
breakdown and interviews?
Or they have like a stable of people. It's Jesse Ventura doing post commentary.
I guess so, yeah.
But they have to have like a docket full
Yeah.
ready for more matches,
Yeah,
I guess, because
guess.
everyone is so shocked when
Yeah.
any stalker loses.
Yeah.
But if they don't lose and they're in a fight that fast,
Yeah.
that's not like I don't understand how that show could get huge because it's so quick every time.
I
It's
don't know.
literally tuning in to
but
see somebody get murdered.
It's UFC. Like a fight could be 30 seconds.
Yeah, that fucking sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. I know.
I've paid pay-per-views
but it's
for
still
ones that-
huge. But you did it, idiot.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Not after that though.
I won't be fooled again.
Like that's
Fuck you, Dana White.
That's it, Ronda Rousey. I'm done.
Yeah.
So it's
She just wants to play Warcraft and not be
Just leave her-
concussed.
just
That's
leave
all
her
she
alone.
wants. Leave her alone.
so after Dynamo, we have Fireball,
Yes.
which also personally conveys Jetpack, which seems very precarious for that.
that is a bad jetpack.
That is like
Too many loose tubes. You got to keep all that
that's what they should have
locked
called
up.
him instead.
Loose tubes. By the way, that's Jim Brown, like an actual football player.
Oh yeah,
ex-football
okay.
player.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
he's I have in brackets how everybody dies. So
Yeah.
Sub-Zero gets a barbed wire Garrett.
Yes.
Buzzsaw gets sawed in the nuts.
Yeah.
Dynamo is killed by sprinklers. Because all his electric stuff, he gets water on him.
Oh yeah.
Should have really waterproofed.
By the way, he dies mid attempted rape.
Yeah,
Like his full pants are off.
his full pants,
and
are
you don't
off.
see him take them off.
No,
And you're like, he's like kind of insinuates a rape and then or like an attempted one, and then all of a sudden he dies and he only had his tidy whiters. I was like, when did those come off?
did he have him on? Did he have pants at the start of the scene?
I'm almost certain he had pants.
I
on
bet
the
he
stomach.
didn't.
It
I
would've
bet that
been
he was
ve-
just talking to her in the
I
hallway
don't
with
know,
no
but
pants.
that's
on.
very funny if he's trying to intimidate her with no pants.
I'm gonna load that scene back up in the bonus and see if we can
Fuck.
see if he has pants on the whole time.
Yeah.
So Fireball is defeated just because Arnold unplugs a tube on his
And then throws a flare at him.
and throws a flare at him.
That's great.
And then lastly is Jesse Ventura,
Captain Freedom.
who is a retired stalker.
Who has we didn't mention his workout video, but that is maybe one of the best bits.
It's real good.
Yeah, that's
He has a
very
workout
funny.
video.
Yeah.
But yeah, it comes back as just like basically his pro wrestling persona.
I also love that there's that moment where they like are gonna ask him to fight, and then they end up having to make the fake fight
Yeah.
because he walks in wearing this awful costume that
Yeah.
they are like trying to make him wear, and he's like, "This is fucking garbage. Will not wear it."
Yeah. And also you can hear it. It's just like
Yeah,
clank,
it
clank,
sounds
clank.
like shit and it looks like shit, and he's pissed, and it's so funny.
There's not a lot of future in the show itself, but the
Yeah.
fact that the show exists
Yes.
is the future.
Well, like some of the things are like they were trying to make Jesse wear a kind of futuristic bullshit Iron Man-y thing. Jetpack
Oh.
is future. I guess Dynamo's supposed to. I mean, he's throwing lightning. I guess that's
He
the
is.
future.
Now, I'm not 100% sure. Is his singing tied to the electric, or is that just a bonus?
No, I think that's just for you.
Oh,
I think that's just like
That's
I'll
just the
let you hear my
personality.
beautiful voice
Okay.
before you're murdered. What I have to say, and what I should have wrote down, because you wrote down all the deaths, and they're all great deaths.
they're pretty good. They're
Buzzsaw gets it bad.
yeah, they're very quick.
Yeah, well, that's how it would go down, right? You just all of a sudden get the blow,
Yeah,
and you're done. But I also think that this movie contains, and I should have written it down for each one. I think it contains maybe the best Arnold quips of any of his
No,
movies.
I hard disagree.
Sub-Zero, now just plain zero.
I wish I wrote them all down.
I didn't write them all down. I should have done it. But like, no one can deliver that except Arnold.
Well, I
No
mean,
one can deliver it.
he delivers it like it deserves. Like Arnold.
But it works. It works for me. He's like a guy that if you wrote to his voice, you could almost make him say any. I just think that's like, if I was writing this movie, I'd be like, what a thrill. I'm just gonna write the dopiest shit and put it as fucking.
You know what
mouth.
he also says before he goes into Iron Man
What?
or into Running Man?
What? I'll be back.
back.
Which is like the third movie he says that in, because in Commando
he says
he
it too.
says it before he gets on a plane.
Does he says that in Terminator 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was only
So
2.
it was like a thing that they would write into every movie that he was in.
It's
like
like,
through the 80s. Yeah, yeah. He said the thing again.
Yeah.
Like literally, he said, I can think of 2 movies where I'll see it's Commando and this.
I bet he
Both-
says it in
both
like
Stephen E. D'Souza movies.
I
So
bet
maybe it's just him fucking with them.
he probably says it also in stuff like Kindergarten Cop or Jingle All the Way
I'm sure.
or something
I'm
like
sure. I just can't remember those movies.
Yeah.
But like, that's, I don't know. I think his quips are all
that. They're so bad.
They're so groanable.
they're
but they
so
make
80
me-
yard.
Yeah. Oh.
Every single one of them is said on their back as they're running away from just murdering
No,
someone.
the Sub-Zero one, it is delivered right down the barrel of the camera. And there are other people here. He delivers it right to you.
Ignores.
You are wrong.
Who are you talking?
Yeah, no, he straight up says it down the barrel.
He was saying it to the
And he's-
cameras.
This is the thing about Arnold, especially when he's delivering this movie. This guy is so proud of himself.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean?
got
like,
through
like
it.
after he says it, he's like, eh? Pretty proud of himself. He did it. Oh, what did he say about God, one of them is she's like, what happened to Buzzsaw? And he's like, you had to split.
I chainsawed them in the dick.
That one's back to the camera. But yeah, it would have been better. He's like, chainsawed his dick off.
Eh?
Eh?
So,
Oh well. Okay, I had a better one, but I won't say it. It's
you
fine.
gonna save it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll save it for you.
So, Killian, who is the creator and host of this show, is great actor. Whose name is escaping me. But
He is. That's Richard Dawson.
That's it. Yes.
who is
yes.
actually the reason why he's good at it is because he
He
was
does
famous for hosting
Yes.
shows.
Yes. It's
So he was a
perfect.
perfect get, and he got to play. He's clearly channeling like his whole career. You know what I mean? Like there's so many like business, like behind the scenes biz moments
Slimy
where
dudes.
you're like, yeah, he's really channeling some people he actively knows in
Yes.
his life and his career.
Now, I want to talk about Killian a little bit
Yeah.
because a little peek behind the curtain.
Yeah.
I've not recently,
Okay.
but I've worked on projects and
Mhm.
I've written on projects that I'm really, really proud of.
Yeah.
And I've had to pitch them to executives.
Yes. It's awful.
And I've never been more nervous in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
The stones it would take
Yeah.
to go into a network and
Yeah.
be like, we're going to murder criminals on TV
Yeah.
with gladiators. And then not only that,
Yeah.
sell that to a network and then go to the government and be like, hey, government,
Yeah.
we're going to go on TV. We're going to get a bunch of murderers to
Yeah.
murder other criminals
Yeah.
on the air.
I think that is supremely confident, but
I have no
I
confidence. to do
also
that.
get the sense that this is state-run television, so
Yeah.
everything's basically fascist BBC at this
Okay,
point,
Okay.
and they only show one other show. That's well, I guess 2. You see
was it? I
Jesse
think-
the Body, you see Captain Freedom's thing, and then the other show is Climbing for Dollars.
Climbing for dollars.
Which is someone climbing up a rope from murderous Dobermans to grab cash.
Would watch.
And that's another convict show, I assume. So I think most of their shows is either stalker related. Like I assume all of the stalkers have their own like reality show or show.
That's
I bet.
possible, but that's also dangerous because
Yeah.
they could die at any moment.
Yeah, but they're so supremely confident that they were not going to die. Like you get that sense that was just, I mean, the game's sort of intentionally stacked
Yeah,
in their
yeah.
favor.
But I
It's
like
just
a
that
lot.
no one was as big as Arnold. That's basically the change.
first
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
No one was as big as Arnold.
No one thought to unplug that.
No one thought
two-
to be strong.
Ooh, we should
No
have been
one-
strong.
We should have been strong. Bummer.
So he's able to get a sweetheart deal. You have the government
Yeah.
that is allowing you on
Yeah.
TV to murder
Yeah.
criminals. I mean, it's using every part of the entertainment
Absolutely.
buffalo,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, it seems to be one of like the only things on anymore.
Yeah. I think it's mostly murders. Are your
Yeah.
game shows now?
And again, the old's just loving it
Yeah.
because we finally get to put them in their place.
Yeah. I think it's very like reminiscent of what they do in the Boys TV show with like the Vought entire channel and like lineup of
Oh,
things.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like it feels like for me, I wouldn't be surprised if when they're making that show and pitching that they were kind of thinking of kind of the Running Man sort of situation where it's
how they get their own spin-off movies and
yeah. So
But
like
that-
in my mind, I'm shocked that they didn't have commercials for like Dynamo's, like You've Got Talent.
You're 100%.
You know what I mean?
That'll
like
be in
the
the new
Voice,
version.
but Dynamo.
which
Yes.
is being
Yes.
supposedly developed by Edgar Wright and
Yes.
the guy who adapted Scott Pilgrim for
Yeah.
him.
I would guess that that's probably, you're right, that his version of that would probably be all of them are these huge famous personalities.
Oh,
You'd
yeah.
probably see them outside in the future, right? Because they'd be going to like premieres and like
Yeah,
making in person.
Make a
like-
Wish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Them
Yeah,
doing a
yes,
Make-A-Wish.
absolutely. You're my favorite murderer.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's even something that, and I hate true crime podcasts.
Yeah.
But this is the evolution. This is where we're headed.
Yeah.
If of the obsession with serial killers, the obsession with murders that don't involve you,
Yeah.
just it keeps escalating.
Yeah. Well, it's like, here's the whole thing. People are so many people had such a huge hard on for the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff because it's like, he's like a sexy serial killer. I'd let that guy kill me.
yeah,
But it's like that sort of thing. But it does, that sort of like collective obsession with like that stuff is like, it's not really a huge leap to be like, if we got hot buff guys and made their jobs legal murders, people would be horned up for that real hard.
real
Like I
quick.
really get the sense that they would be like more people than you would like. But more people than you would like would be really into it. It's like, oh no, but these are criminals and it's legal murder. We
Yeah.
made murder legal for these very hot people.
for these
These
very, hot people,
fit people.
but at the beginning,
Yeah.
only ones we're 100% sure are guilty.
Yes. Yeah.
There's got to be
It's totally cool.
unequivocal proof.
Yes.
We're not killing anyone.
Yeah.
They would just be a drain on our system.
Yeah.
We'd have
And
to
they're volunteering and like, cause that's the whole other thing too, right? They're always like, they're volunteering for the game as well.
right.
Which is pretty great.
But also, like, if you don't give them a chance at freedom,
Yeah.
what do you give them as an incentive to do it
Mhm.
or to not do it?
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
you just hope that these people are like, I want to be known.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. One little detail that's unrelated to any of this, but was, well, a little bit of the Richard Dawson, like business stuff. One of my favorite moments is when they're walking Arnold to the game and they give him a court-appointed talent agent.
Oh,
That's an amazing detail.
that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
But like, if none of them make it through, except for
Once again, don't think lawyers exist in this world.
because
either.
they have brain projectors.
But also it's like the court appointed, I love that, like, court appointed talent agent is
That's
amazing.
really funny.
Really
Yeah.
funny.
It's a good detail.
And such like once again playing with like the meta like entertainment business
Mhm.
of it all, which is like very fun.
but true crime, the obsession with true crime and serial killers,
Yeah.
and then like mix that with how people like watching like skateboarding accidents.
Oh, yeah.
I can't watch that stuff.
No, but a lot of people love seeing a knee bend backwards or something.
Yeah, or like even people just getting hit in the dick. Like
Yeah.
that is the dipping the toe in.
yeah.
Now just imagine if that guy that just got hit in the dick
It
was a
with
murderer.
Oh, I was gonna say it was with a chainsaw.
Oh,
And he was a murderer.
he was a murderer and he got hit in the dick with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
I like this is an evolution.
Yeah.
This is a solution to a problem that we aren't at yet, which
Yeah.
is like we have too many criminals,
Too many murderers.
too many murderers in the building.
Yeah.
And what do we do with all these murderers?
Yeah.
Well, let's make money off of them.
Yeah.
Like,
let's legitimize some murderers to kill those murderers.
do you think that's something maybe not in America first? I bet this would happen somewhere else first.
Maybe. I guess it does, but it does also reek of like super late stage capitalism.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, we can make a lot of money out of
Well,
this
they
too.
could.
Like, it's like, it's really like, I feel like most things when at this point, it's like, really, all the thing has to do is really make a lot of money and it'll get pushed pretty far. And like, people will find ways to wear people down on the morality of a thing, I feel like. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it feels like inevitably, if you really want to push it through, you eventually could.
I bet they could.
Yeah, they could.
And
That's the other thing. We have the infrastructure and we have like the like I suppose like the media clout and like the I don't know. It like, you know, our major export is like our culture.
Mhm.
It feels like you could, I don't know. It's weird.
I bet the Running Man exists on some closed circuit TV somewhere today.
Here's the thing. I would watch The Running Man without murder though. I don't
Yeah,
even
yeah.
need the murder. I just want like do American Gladiators, and I mean like, but you know, you can people get their bell rung. You
Which-
know what
do
I
you
mean?
think
Like it's a
American-
little bit more dangerous than American Gladiators.
It's MMA mixed with
Yes,
American Gladiators.
yeah.
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 I wonder if American Gladiators is from the story. Because the original one was in the 90s or 80s, 90s. So that
Do you think
predates.
this somehow influenced American Gladiators?
I don't know.
I mean,
But there's so many
I
like
can't-
similarities.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the big wrestling person. I mean, obviously, they're both drawing from professional wrestling,
Yeah.
going so far as to get a professional wrestler. But yeah, it feels like it, right?
Yeah. So how do
Yeah.
you make American Gladiators more violent without people like
No pads.
that's it? So like they do the joust, but they just fall on concrete.
Yeah, and I guess
But,
when
like,
you're
would that make it
instead of
better?
instead of shooting tennis balls, I guess it's I don't
Plastic
know,
bullets or
like,
something.
plastic sandbags, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like what's missing, I think, and what they don't even really get into in the movie
Yeah.
is using this giant field
Mm-hmm.
where anything can happen.
Yeah.
And if you go into making the Running Man and be like, no, there will be no murder.
Yeah.
By episode 2, someone will have died by
Inevitably,
accident.
someone's murdered.
Yeah.
It's just gonna happen. Yeah, well, that's when you bring in the deepfake technology and you get to unmurder them.
Oh yeah, he's
And
fine.
and you tell it, which by the way, they use that technology to show all the guys happy on Hawaii.
Which is
And then also, why did they just have them all in a locker room together? Guys,
yeah,
bury those dudes.
bury
Get
him
rid of
somewhere
him.
else. Separate it.
If you're gonna incinerate them good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about the deepfake too, because that goes along with
Yeah.
the manipulation of the media,
Yeah.
which is a very scary, very real thing.
Yeah.
On top of deepfakes, which are just going to add a whole new wrinkle to that.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, further generations are smarter than us, I
Yeah.
guess. But they use a face mapping technology to give one of the gladiators, the Jesse Ventura, Captain Freedom, to fight Arnold to the death and show to the audience that he's dead.
Yeah.
By real time mapping Arnold's face onto someone else.
I also think they mapped Jesse the Body's face.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, I think he literally has that outburst like a talent,
And
and,
then
they're
leaves.
like, yeah, and then fucks off. I don't think I think they're both deep faked into it.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah,
It's possible.
He threw a talent hissy fit and ran off.
Yeah.
Which is once again great.
But in the scene too, it's a great use of
Yeah.
it's a cheap way to do future shit. I'm like, oh my god, they look so real.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just Arnold. And,
Yeah, yeah. It's
Real-
just actually them.
yeah.
By the way, they also reveal that they murder the stunt doubles.
Yes.
Actively.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
real
feels like there was a way around it.
spike walls.
Yeah.
like really, that's a good Arnold death, which you rarely see.
Oh yeah, he rarely. I mean, like, well, he gets he gets fucked up in his movies for sure.
Yeah, but he gets impaled on a spike wall by fake Arnold gets impaled on a spike wall by fake Jesse Ventura, and
The
the
girl
audience.
gets it harder in that one.
Oh, yeah,
she
she
gets like wrapped up in the barbed wire, razor wire, and
He-
stuff. It's like insane.
He doesn't he like backbreaker her or something. And then
Oh yeah,
throws
he like
her-
backbreaker. Yeah. He. Oh man.
yeah, she gets fucked up.
Yeah.
It's
bad.
And then the audience immediately is like, oh, okay, why?
Well, that's the end of it. We did it.
And then when he shows back up at the end, everyone's like, oh, he's her favorite again. He's her favorite again.
Yay!
So it's like at a certain point, I watched Sassy Justice. Do you know what Sassy Justice is?
No.
It's Matt Stone and Trey Parker set up a deep fake studio.
Okay.
They powered that one was it Kendrick Lamar video
Okay.
where his face just keeps morphing into other stuff.
Oh, crazy.
But they
haven't
did
seen
an
that.
entire web series
Okay.
where Donald Trump was like what is it, like a muckraking reporter,
Okay.
like a TMZ reporter,
Okay.
and it was called Sassy Justice,
Okay.
and it was him as a character, and it looks, aside from like the fake hair,
Yeah.
it looks so fucking real.
Oh God.
Like it,
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh, this is funny." I'm like, "This is scary as fuck."
Not like this.
Like the stuff people believe
Yeah.
now
yeah.
is already so like comically
Well, that's if
bad.
you're literally being like, if they released it just out into the wild, a ton of right wing people would pick up on it and be like, what's Donald's got a show? Oh, this is so weird. What's he doing?
I'll have to show it to you after because it's really impressive. Because
Yeah.
if you pair the right body type
Yeah.
with a good voice actor, or even just have the vocal prints,
Yeah.
like it's really easy to do what they did in that boxing
Yeah, yeah,
match,
yeah. Yeah.
like for real
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you know that it's not that. Like,
I don't know. It's like one of those. It's also one of those things, though. I saw someone post something the other day where like, oh, guys, AI has figured out how to do hands. We're all in for it now. And someone was just like, yeah, still all you have to do is zoom in. They still look weird. They
Yeah.
just have the right amount of fingers.
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing that I think it's the thing that this movie got the most right
It 100% did.
is
Yeah.
how it can convince anyone of anything just by like the old, oh, it's on TV. Like there's so many checks and balances for that
Yeah.
stuff. Of course it has to be true.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing about like, not to get too political on a comedy podcast, but like how Fox News now is like all these texts coming out about them knowing what they were doing was incorrect or all that. Like
Yeah. Actively participating in disinformation.
Yeah.
And knowing
for
it.
the sake of
Ratings.
ratings. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. I mean, I also get the sense that once again, in this particular future 2017, like there's one state-run network, right?
Yeah.
So it's it's even worse in terms of like you're getting it from the one source.
Yeah.
So you gotta just kind of be like, I hope it's right.
I don't care if it is. It
'Cause-
was fun, and I
yeah.
got the home game.
Yeah.
So it's
I
all
loved
good.
the murders. Who
Yeah.
cares if they're actively feeding me disinformation? I like the murders.
Yeah.
I
Oh.
saw a guy get eaten by dogs.
7 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's what I did to unwind.
Well, that's chill. That's chill. They still have Jeopardy, but
It-
you get
yeah.
your nuts shocked
I bet
if you get it wrong.
Running Man would start as a pay-per-view because
Yeah.
they couldn't do that every time.
No. But if you have like a fascist authoritarian government,
Who's just
plenty
feeding
of
you-
people to say they broke the law and feed
Oh,
the
yeah.
machine. Oh, when they're selecting, you remember that scene where they're like flipping through all the different convicts to try to pick someone before he lands on Arnold? My favorite one was a guy named Babyface March, and it was a literal infant. Which is a perfect little dumb joke
Babyface.
that's just for whoever did that sequence. It's not
I
acknowledged.
can't believe they let me keep it in
It's
there.
just one of the flip through of like 30 profiles that someone made.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
I wish I should have paused it and seen what his crime was.
being too handsome.
Being too cute.
Yeah.
Get out of here,
I mean,
Babyface. Or maybe they were insinuating that that's a grown-ass man.
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
He's a Dick Tracy villain.
Yeah, it does feel like Babyface.
Yeah.
That's good.
There's not a lot I would take from this Running Man future. I mean,
It's a bad future.
it's a bad future. We don't really see a ton outside of the game or the slums. But based on the fact that, like you were saying, this feels like the only network. This feels like
Yeah.
it's government sponsored
Yeah.
and they're okay with this type of running. Like the fact that Arnold is able to take down this stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like nothing's really gonna be
It
different.
feels too big. I mean,
Yeah,
it definitely
yeah.
feels like, if we
the resistance
watched-
started too late.
If we watched a movie that was the next day, that the government's just bombing the network,
which I think,
and that's it, and
I-
that's the end of the resistance, and they'll just
I think that's how the
start
book
it from
ends.
Atlanta. Like, fine,
The government bombs stuff
yeah.
at the end of the book.
Like, this is clearly a thing where they're not going to be like, we're sending in a strike team to clear the whole place floor to floor. They're like, nah, man, bomb them. Fuck it. Like,
yeah.
the people that got out. Like, fuck it.
Yeah.
We'll make up footage anyway that's not that. But yeah, it does feel like at the end, you're just like, well, that's it. Like,
Start a new one.
it's not, I don't think that's going to work. There's a lot of fight left, guys.
And I have one more note on here that I forgot about, and I
Yeah.
still think it's our best
Okay.
chance for a real live Running Man,
Okay.
the XFL.
Bud,
When it
you
happens,
preach into the choir.
when
all right.
XFL happens,
Yeah.
and they give them weapons, and they take off the pads.
I watched an XFL game on accident once. One of the new XFL games.
New,
And can I tell you something? It sucks.
because they're
It's
just
bad.
They're
It's
bad
bad
players.
football. They changed some of the rules,
Yeah,
which actually I kind of like some of the rule changes.
like weapons
it's
and
like-
no pads.
No, but that's what it should be.
Yeah,
Listen, I feel like we've pitched this on other podcasts before, but 100% they should have names, personalities, they should have
Entrances.
chairs, entrances, everything. They should be using pro wrestler things to make it cool and fun.
yeah.
Because you're always going to get second tier talent, football talent for the XFL.
And then they murder criminals.
yeah. And then you make it criminals. Yeah.
And then you give all the XFL players weapons, and then make them play against an unarmed team of criminals.
Absolutely. It makes sense.
If Vince McMahon were still in charge of it,
He'd do it.
he would do it.
He would get there eventually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm worried The Rock will try to legitimize it, and that's going to be either way. It's going to fail
Well,
because The Rock is going to try too hard to legitimize the XFL, and it 100% should have always swung the other direction, much closer to Murder Ball.
swung also.
Swanged. Swanged. Should have swunged.
Well, and also it's gonna fail because he's only gonna let them drink his gross water stuff.
Hey, we're only drinking Zoas and
Zoa.
Tremana tequila. Do you know how upset I am that I know both of those?
I didn't even know he had a tequila.
Yeah, he has a tequila. He's like, I don't know. Every time you see him do something, he like makes it into like a tequila opportunity
Ugh.
to like. I don't know
Tequila
why I
sanity.
follow him on any social media.
Why?
Because it's all just like weird ads
Did
for
you buy his daughter's shoes?
his girl dad shoes.
Girl dad, yeah.
That's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life.
It's really dumb.
Amazing. Anyway, here's
Anyway.
my shoe powered by the souls of 15 daughters.
The daughters that
It makes me jump higher.
the daughters we sacrificed on Tuesday night on XFL. Synergy. My new energy drink, Synergy.
We cover them, we douse them in my Tremana tequila and light them on fire. And then we trap their souls in the heels of my Under Armour shoes.
Cool.
Anyway, you can run the 40. Anyway, you got a dad bod, you can run a 40. Not much faster.
Powered by souls, though.
Powered by
you don't
souls.
feel it.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway, would you take anything from Running Man?
I mean,
One network, you wouldn't have to pick what you're watching.
no, I'm not a fan of that. I mean, it's too extreme the other direction from where we are now, right?
Yeah.
I growing up, we didn't realize how good we had it, where it was just like 5 networks, and then some cable stuff with weird shit that we could enjoy.
Yeah.
But
It costs too much, so.
too few. Man, what would I take? The jumpsuits.
Ooh.
The
You could have
Adidas
those, yeah.
jumpsuits.
Yeah.
The Adidas jumpsuits. I think they look very comfortable, and I would love to experience that comfort.
What about the no headroom car? The personal conveyance of the no headroom car that topples easy.
I will say that was gonna be my it's between the two. It was between jumpsuit. I would either bring jumpsuit or Dynamo's personal conveyance.
What that looks like to me is, those roller coasters
Yeah.
where there's like a plastic thing that comes down over your head. You
Mhm.
pull it down.
Yeah.
It's that as like your seatbelt.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
So you're
pretty
just
much.
strapped in there. If
Yeah.
you flip, the only
You're dead.
the thing that hits the ground is not the car, it's your head.
It's your head. He's so far above the body of the car.
so far.
It's insane. Like I can't believe it. Like when he's alive, when that car flips and he's alive, I'm like,
No.
wow. Yeah. Nuh-uh.
Well, what I want to talk about on our Patreon bonus segment, I'm really looking forward to it. And I put it
Yes.
on here. I don't know if you saw it already.
I did.
So you could do some pre-thinking about
I
it.
didn't do that.
Okay, I
But
did.
it's fine.
a
I
little
should
bit.
have.
Is I want us to go through and come up with our Running Man stalker personas,
This is good. Yeah.
how you would be killed by Arnold,
Okay.
and what's the quip he says after killing you.
Ooh, I already have an idea and it's stupid.
All right, we're gonna talk about it.
It's gonna
So
be good.
that'll be on our Patreon bonus exclusive segment for this
Yes.
episode. But I think that's gonna do it for this episode of Yesterday's Tomorrow Today.
Yes.
Kyle, tell us where all our stuff is.
Yes. Please follow us on all of the social medias under Yes Tom Today. You can find us on Twitter, on Instagram, and on the TikToks with all the kids, which also TikTok's, I guess, on the verge of being outlawed in America anyway. So,
Oh yeah.
but follow us there. And please, if you like what you hear,
Only one
please-
network.
Please join
Not
us.
TikTok.
Not TikTok. Please join us on our Patreon, the patreon.com/YesTomToday. There is only one price point, and we're only doing a season of 8 to 10 episodes at a time. But anything you give really helps out, and certainly more than anything helps us gauge your interest in the show and whether or not we will continue to do it. And of course, you will get a bonus Patreon exclusive segment, such as the one that Joey just pitched with every episode.
Mine's
So-
real. My guy's real good.
Fuck, I should have read it last. I didn't read your rundown when you sent it.
I didn't read yours either because I want to be surprised. So.
I know,
get it.
but now I'm like, fuck, should have prepped. Anyway.
I was gonna even black it out, and so you could read it if you wanted.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't know if you would prefer to like be able to pregame.
For this one, it feels like I would have liked to pregame, but also what has just popped up in my mind is
You should go with that anyway.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you all for listening. We'll see you on the next episode. I've been Joey Reinish.
I'm Comic Bang.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
That was fun, and thanks for listening to Explosion